Yeah, good. Let's do it. And I'm going to step off the path. Can I get an adult right behind me? Yes. And if you could, I'm going to point out a couple of obstructions I'm going to shine my light on. And I'll hopefully I'll let you get So the ghost room, never had any ghosts spotted here, but early explorers had lanterns, and lanterns, you know, the flame would wiggle, so the light would move, and when they illuminated some of these white glowstones on the ceiling, it appeared to move like a ghost. So that's where the name, the ghost room, came from. It's all these white glowstone formations. So the whiteness comes from an additional acid contributing to the formation of those glowstones. It's fulmic or humic acid, some organic acids dripping down from decaying matter in the soil above us, in addition to the carbonic acid, the carbonated water, and those two things together in essence kind of bleach out the glowstone formations. Now this is the only room in the cave where we can see all three types of rock. Who knows what the three categories of rock are?
Sedimentary.
That's one.
Metamorphic.
Igneous is two. And what was the third?
Metamorphic.
Metamorphic. Excellent. A's, gold stars for the two of you. And sir, I heard you say punk and classic and heavy metal. Yeah. I'll give you credit for that.
Because there's no child left behind.
That's right. So yeah, the metamorphic is the marble that we've been looking at throughout the cave. All this is metamorphic marble. We have sedimentary rock. That's all the flowstone that's growing and dripping down. And the igneous we haven't seen yet, but this igneous is this dark brown blackish line of rock that goes down the middle of the room. And this igneous rock got here about 150 million years ago when the whole block of marble was deep under the earth next to that magma. And that crack developed, and the magma injected into the crack, filled it in, and as it cooled, it crystallized to become diorite, which is a hard igneous rock. And so that's diorite inside that crack. And it's a harder rock than the rock on either side of it, and it's not as porous, and it's not dissolved by carbonic acid. That's why you'll see a lot of flowstone growing to this side of it, because the water's running downhill and dripping on that side of it, but it doesn't penetrate the diorite and grow on this side of it. Now this point at the floor there is going to be the deepest spot we go to in our tour today. That's 220 feet below the surface. So what goes down must come back up, folks. We'll have a nice hike ahead of us after we do that. Before we head down there, I want to show you the spitting rock behind you, man. So this spitting rock shows, I mentioned, you know, caves grow based on water. Well, the cave used to be growing here, forming a stalagmite. Stalagmites might grow tall one day. The water was dripping down slow. It was full of calcite. Additional calcite was deposited with each and every drip. But then something above ground changed and increased the rate of water flow. And now it's dripping very quickly, and that water doesn't have a chance to off-gas all of the carbon dioxide. So it's just a little bit acidic, not enough to be harmful in any way, but enough to begin to drill a hole down in the middle of that stalagmite that used to be growing. So now it looks like a mini volcano with a hole in it that's more than a centimeter deep, and when that water hits that little dip, it splatters out, so we call it the spitting rock. So it spits that water out across this broad area, and it's made all of this calcite growth that sort of looks like a coral reef, or one kid said it looks like a field of meatballs. But if you're really hungry, you might see meatballs. But anyway, it's just a calcite formation. If that water continues to drip in that spot at that rate, it'll eventually drill a hole all the way through that stalagmite that it grew into the bedrock below. But who knows how long that'll take. It's going to be thousands of years probably. All right, you ready to head down to the floor? Now when we get to the bottom, up to the left there, that really steep staircase is an optional side trip. It goes up to a room we call Paradise Lost. It's a pretty room with about 5-story tall flowstone formations, but it's an optional side trip. If you don't want to make the extra 73 steps up and down, you should wait in the middle of the base floor down there. Let's head down here. Hey!
That's how they call it the ghost room.
Tran, you're in trouble.
I'm gonna wait.
How's everybody faster than me?
Two stay behind.
Yeah, there's two right down there at the
Okay.
stairs, spot of the
So,
stairs.
That railing right down there, the metal one right there, you see there's a box? Red switch.
Oh,
right there.
okay.
I'll have you come down last. I'd like you to flip that light switch off. when you
Off?
come down.
Okay.
Yeah,
Down is off?
down is off.
Okay.
You can step on that sloped floor. That's okay to step on. You want to make more room for folks to come up? So folks, this room is called Paradise Lost. And the name came about when the guy that first found it around 1900, he was a mountain climber primarily, but he also did a little bit of cave exploring. And he came up here and he found this cavern after scaling that rock wall we just climbed, where we now have stairs. And he told his friends about it. He described it like paradise, said it was the most beautiful thing he'd seen underground. And they said, well, take us there. So he tried, but he could never find the cave again, this room in the cave again. And he came back multiple times over a period of about 20 years. And before he ever rediscovered it, a different team found it. And they'd heard about it, and they renamed it Paradise Lost. Because he found it and lost it and couldn't find it again. Now he also did damage. You can see he put pipings in the wall that are rusting and some holes drilled in so he could climb up some of the tougher slopes. But he went all the way to the top thinking there might be an opening to the ground above, and there's not. Even though this goes up about 5 stories high, we're still a good 50 to 100 feet below the surface of the mountaintop, or mountain surface, not top, but the ground.
You think the lack of natural light would have been a clue?
Yeah, you think. And no airflow either, just water flow. But it makes these beautiful, like, I don't know, jellyfish kind of formations or squid formations. And this is thousands of years of nature's work, growing these things.
Why is there a dead end?
Why is it a dead end? Yeah, because the erosion hasn't opened up a hole here yet. In fact, it'll probably take thousands of years, unless there's some major seismic event to open up a hole above us. It'll probably be thousands of years of erosion on the surface before there's a natural opening created up here. But eventually, the mountain will wear down enough and this will open up. Probably long after we're all gone. All right, I'm going to head down. When you're ready, use both hands on the railing, please. And for small kids, please put a parent in front of the small child in case they slip. But stay close to them.
Can we turn off the lights? Ooh. Anyway. Power, the prestige.
Those of you at the rear might have missed this really nice piece of bacon. Up here is another nice piece, really good fat thick piece. That's a slab up there. So I want to point out before we head up and while you all are catching your breath, some of you have noticed probably some brown squiggly marks on the ceiling back over there when we're up high and maybe on the very high ceiling. You can see these brown squiggly marks, even above your head there in some locations. And these things are called vermiculations. They're all over the cave, in this area of the cave. And these wormy-looking things aren't made by a worm. They're actually deposits formed by water rippling against the surface of the rock, and any floating organic matter as well as minerals deposit out by those ripples against the rock. And that tells us the whole room here was underwater at one point in time, probably at least tens of thousands of years ago, if not hundreds of thousands of years ago. And then somehow the water found its way out over time, and the water level dropped. So the vermiculations continue to go down lower and lower. You can find it even right over there. Until ultimately, this section of the cave pretty much drained. And we haven't had a flowing river in this part of the cave since it's been discovered. So the water flow that is significant that the river Styx is all in that entry part of the cave, not this deeper part. All right, everybody catch the breath? Okay. Randolph, there's a light switch on this light post too. There's two of them actually. The one closest to the vertical post turns off the lights behind us. Would you flip that one off when you get here?
Actually, I can't see where you're pointing.
It's the left-hand post.
At the bottom of the stairs?
Up the stairs, yeah.
Okay.
There's two of them. If you turn off the wrong one, we'll be yelling down at you to turn it back on. One goes forward, one goes backwards.
So which one was I supposed to turn off? I'm gonna see the switch.
I think it's over here.
Oh, okay. I can't see nothing.
Yeah, right there.
No?
Two.
Hey, oh, here we go.
Nope, not there. Next
By
to
the handrail, right?
Right there, right there, right there. Your hand's really close to it.
Oh, it's underneath. It's like 50 switches here.
The one that's
Which one's by the light switch?
Is it the light switch is over?